Well, look at that. Merry Christmas. A little bit late.
Did you say Merry Christmas?
Welcome to the Backpack Show. Happy Chewanica.
Happy holidays.
That's right.
Some
Well, the
people are
Backpack
on
Show
holiday because it's summer.
had a little trouble launching today, but we got there. Good to see you. Look, even Katrina's messaging me. Is there a show today?
Wow.
Yes, sorry. There's a show. We just had a technical problem.
Once the show is live, you should do that. Welcome to the Backpack Show, everybody, where we bring you business success insights from unusual places. Today, it's all about higher ed and technology and bringing the two together.
We've Karan Raturi from upGrad, and it's going to be a great conversation. And there's so much to cover. And online education is a field I'm fascinated by. I mean, I run a really pathetic version of this kind of for entrepreneurs in Owner Media Group, and so one of the things that I want to cover is what it takes to make a business like that. So we've got so much. Now, Carrie has to leave a little bit early because she's turns out traveling again. So I'm going to have to run the show, but at least we got her here for the beginning. And she did all of the prep because I was sneezing in 400 people.
Which went so well, as you can tell.
What a day. Let's get it going.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Carrie Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
So this all started because of a Twitter conversation you had, and you mentioned upGrad, and I forget exactly why, but they were right on top of it and answered you right away. And so we're like, let's have that conversation on the show. Who you got for us? And they brought us Karan Raturi.
Now, weirdly, I got a comment from Len Joy that's not showing up in our comment stream. It says, "Hey guys," on my phone, but it doesn't say, "Hey guys" here. So who knows? Look, everyone made it. Look, what a day. What a day. So we're going to talk all about upGrad. We've got all kinds of stuff to cover. I'm going to bring up a site just so I have it there in the background so I can invest in my future and accelerate my career. I could get an MBA. But first, hi, Karan. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Carrie. Great to be here.
Karan regrets everything. He's like, I thought this was a show that people knew how to run.
Who knew? So this kind of a program, I mean, there's plenty of online education programs. So let's just call that what it is, because there's
right.
Tons of them. And to jump into this field, somebody would be like, well, no, it's totally easy and nothing could happen, right? But this is a lot of work. What decided to make you put this kind of a thing together, and talk a little bit about what stands you out from the whole gang?
Sure. Yeah. Happy to cover that. And again, thanks for having me. upGrad was founded about 6 years ago, and now it's grown to be South Asia's largest online higher ed company. The mission we're on is to democratize and increase access to world-class education around the world. So, that sounds like a lot of fluffy words, but essentially, there are places all over the world, including here in the US, where access to high quality education is difficult. Being on campus is not always the easiest thing. And so what we've really done, and this journey started long ago with 3 of our co-founders based in India, and I'm here leading the business and the charge in North America, where they partnered with some of the leading universities and faculty in India to deliver coursework to students around the country. We're doing that same thing here now in the United States, partnering with universities, bringing sort of programs that we know are relevant to the job market. We know that the skills that we're providing and training folks on will help them get the career outcomes they're looking for. So I'd say like one of the things that really defines upGrad is reverse engineering what the job market is telling us about what's hot and where folks are being able to seek employment, and then building coursework along with our university partners to deliver on that and enable students to get those jobs. So it's slightly different that we're not just building, kind of base degree programs and then saying, all right, we've given you the education, go out and find employment. We're actually saying we've done the market research and we think you should study the following things before you head out there and apply for a job.
There's so much to cover, but one thing I was thinking about, everything goes, there's so non-chronicle, non-linear conversation going to happen today. So I hope your right brain is just juicy and ready to go.
I'm ready for it.
one thought I was having is that so 2020, the apocalypse hits, and a lot of people say, well, I guess I'm just going to go back and do some online learning. Now, what also hits is that all of these big fancy colleges all over suddenly can't, talk about how great their campus is. And what you probably know, and what some of the viewers may or may not know, was that for online education, there's been this interesting kind of history as far as the higher level education goes, which is that things like University of Phoenix showed up and everyone was like, ha ha ha, University of Phoenix, and everybody ignored it. And then a few people went, wait a minute, maybe we should have an online program. But not till 2020 was it like, oh crap, like we've been selling this as like the 20% of this thing, and now we're in a bad spot. Did that put you in a great spot, or did that suddenly put you in a massively competitive spot because everyone had to rush to be upGrad?
Yeah, great question, Chris. I think the pandemic taught us that we need to be prepared to deliver education online. It also taught us that consumer preferences aren't that crisp and clear, that we're comfortable with what we think is a hybrid model. We think there are benefits to being on campus in terms of peer networking, in terms of interacting and collaborating on projects. So we took it two ways. One is, yes, we seized the opportunity to talk with our university partners and bring those programs online as quickly as possible. Those universities, we were very careful to maintain their brand image, their admission standards, and all of that. And we can really do that successfully online today. But in terms of that like hybrid model, making sure that prestige and access are balanced, one thing upGrad does is ensure that when we are representing those universities, we have admission standards in place. If they want a test in place, if they want certain GPAs and certain requirements in place, that we represent them appropriately online. And so I think we really appease that concern around the higher tier that you're referring to, and the brand dilution that they're afraid of. If you partner with the right partner, as we really try to do every day, we can take you online without that fear being top of mind. And certainly, Chris, the pandemic was a case study in how to successfully deliver online education. It always baffles me how quickly we adapted, right? It was a tragedy and really not the way we want to learn about our capabilities. But one thing that did come out is how quickly things like Zoom, Google Meet, and this ability for us to have a remote conversation this way, that culturally we were ready to go within a week or two. There was really no like delay in us adapting to a remote culture. What it did to us over time, we really had to learn how to, whether it was work out at home, whether it was, really get used to our environments. Prior to upGrad, I was at Wayfair, and what I can tell you is Wayfair.com saw a huge boost because everyone redid their homes.
Yeah,
all of a sudden, our homes were everything. Right? Yeah. We were out of trampolines and chicken coops, and you wouldn't believe it because all of a sudden we're all going this self-sustenance route.
Obviously, you can trampoline into the chicken coop.
That's right, exactly. Just hop on in.
Yeah, makes feeding go so much faster.
Yeah, and so I think we saw that in education as well, right? We didn't have to leave the home for work, and we productivity for the most part stayed elevated, if not higher. And then we saw that in education, which is every day morning, maybe I wake up and go to class. Really the science suggests that after the second or third row of sitting in a class, your connection with the professor is largely equivalent to you being online or in a remote environment anyway. It's really the first row, the second row, where there's a dynamic interaction potential with the professor. So we say the rest of the class, right? 80-90% of the rest of the class in most universities, we're delivering almost an identical experience.
That's funny because in law school, I was in the front the first year, and then I got a computer and I was in the back where they called it the press corps, like where all the outlets were. We'd all sit in the back and type up there.
Yeah. Carrie was ready to go as soon as the bell rang.
Ready to go. Yeah, I wanted like a transcript as soon as the course was over.
Yeah.
So did you find then that what's the difference? I think a lot of people were prepared to do professional development online, but there was something about the idea of like getting a degree online that they sort of devalued in their head. So what shifted?
Yeah, I think against our competitors, we do focus on the degree side. We believe that there is value in formal education, and I think you're right. Professional development had been online in a greater way than the degrees. I really do think it's a mindset shift that the quality of delivery of that education, the access to faculty, and the peer networking that we provide online. So, for example, we actually allocate points to students who answer other students' questions. So we create a gamified experience where peer networking within our platform is encouraged to really help replicate that in classroom feel. And so our TAs, our professors that we hire and keep on staff are actually told to, wait to see if students are actually addressing their own concerns amongst the classroom. So that would be an example of why we think that the degree mindset shift is coming to be, and that like online education is going to be more and more prevalent and more okay as we perfect this delivery piece. We want to make sure that the experience isn't a second-tier experience, but it provides the flexibility, the price point, and all of the things that are benefits of online education without taking away too much of what is great about in-person.
So you're representing the North American part of upGrad, and one of the pieces of information I would find kind of interesting is that this has been going on for a while in your South Asia market and all that, and now you're being said, quick, translate it to the experience in North America. Now it's not, I mean, especially in countries like, for instance, like India, who have had massive amounts of US-based education to sort of work in the symbiotic environment we've had with India for years. It's not too foreign. It's not like, oh, we have no idea how an American university would work. But there are things that work in South Asia that maybe do or don't work in North America, et cetera. Have you seen that yet? Like, what are some of the culture differences in translation and bringing upGrad here?
Yeah, it's several fold. Starting right at the beginning in the admissions process. When our admissions counselors speak to our learners based here in the United States, we make sure that their concerns are addressed slightly differently, right? In India, I think when folks call in, we talk a lot about the value of the course and purely its merit in terms of the school, the prestige of the school, maybe that we've partnered with, maybe the specific tools and hard skills they'll learn in the programs, and so on and so forth. And while we continue to leverage some of that in our conversations here on the enrollment side, we also talk about flexibility. We also try to understand what unique concerns each individual might have, or aspirations each of our learners might have. And then how does this degree program fit into those dreams, hopes, and aspirations? Does it enable them to provide something that they've thought of for a while? Is there a dream job they're going after? And will this really get them there? So there's a lot more conversation about ambition, aspiration here in the US, rather than just focusing sort of on the coursework and the merit and the value of the hard skills and the degree. So that's right at the admission side. Then in the delivery, I think teaching methodologies are different in India, as in many countries around the world that have grown up maybe in the British way of teaching. There's more rote memorization. The way the testing is done is very rigorous. But it's just slightly different in the way it's the details are laid out, less multiple choice, less open text, and it's very it's mathematical, it's detailed in that sense. Here, we are more open to perspective answers, right? So we say, what are your thoughts on this? And if you got the wrong answer, let's see what you went about, because maybe 80% of your logic is right. And maybe 20% of it is where you slipped. And so if you've grown up in that type of teaching methodology your whole life, upGrad wants to make sure that continues into your graduate education and whatever degrees you're pursuing with us. So that's on the delivery side. So enrollment's different, delivery is different. And last piece I'll just answer quickly is career services. So we're partnering with folks here to ensure that the career outcomes piece isn't slip, because that tends to be a regional play. It's hard to say that our folks in India can really offer the same depth of career services that we offer here in the US. So I've been building out a function to make sure that we have a custom jobs board with a recommendation engine that suggests what jobs are appropriate for our learners. And we continue to integrate it into the performance we're seeing in the course. So what's really cool about this, and it's different, is if we see you succeed in certain parts of the course, we try to align the job recommendations that we provide to what we think you would excel at, so that you don't plop into your job and the first thing you're assigned, you're like, well, that's the thing I'm not great at. We try to align the job with what we know, the sections of the coursework that you did well in. So I think that's the last piece of it, where our students graduate and enter the workforce, and we're really proud of the outcomes they're able to achieve.
That's
so you're
massive.
not like, don't do that because you suck at it. You folks go the other way.
I mean, you gotta be honest about self-assessment and introspection, right? Yeah.
That's massive, though. That whole idea of saying we observed that you were this and these were your skills, that was non-existent in the 7 different universities I attended. So just that alone is a selling point. Karan, we have to put you backstage for a minute. We got to read a couple quick ads. So I'm going to stick you backstage just for a second. Be right back with you. Hang on. Boop. Oh my gosh, so many questions. And Kat, I saw your question. We'll bring it back to him right after these ads. Let's do it really quick. I don't know when Carrie has to run, but I want to make you
I'm hanging in there.
Cognizant of your time, traveler.
I'm fine.
So this show is sponsored by the nice people at StreamYard. You can make a video show just like this. It's so good, so easy. Look at all these buttons. I just slid in from another meeting with 400 plus people and then just said, hey, I'm ready to go. And then proceeded to break everything. StreamYard, cbrogan.me/StreamYard.
If you put the correct information in, StreamYard will put the correct stream out. That's how it works.
Oh my gosh. Hey, you like podcasts? We need them. Okay, but if you did, you could get them anywhere that you can look for a podcast. The Backpack Show is there. That's thanks to the hosting at castos.com. What a good bunch of people. My buddy Matt Medeiros, for instance, is one of the nice people behind Castos. Go get it if you want to make a podcast. Hey, would you like a .online domain? You could have upgrad.online.
You're a mess.
Hey, cbrogan.me/online is the setup. Go
Enter
to
the code Chris in all caps.
Make sure it's all caps. Stick it to the man. Don't use Google for a search engine. Use Presearch for a search engine.
For heaven's sake. Wholly apart from their origin story as kind of the anti-Google, it is a really fine search engine.
It works really well. I've been using it for months at this point. At this point, I don't think I'm going back. I mean, why should I?
And you earn crypto rewards as long as you're logged in. Like, you get cryptocurrency that you can then use to stake a keyword in Presearch. So when people search for like cool show, the Backpack Show page would come up.
It also ostensibly protects my privacy. I'm testing that with an HR company right now. I'll keep you posted. We are sponsored this week by my friend Mitch Jackson, streaming lawyer. He reviewed my read for yesterday and said, gee, you know what else you could do? Mm-hmm. So another sponsor is attorney Mitch Jackson, also known as the streaming lawyer. If you have an online legal business issue or question, reach out to Mitch at streaming.lawyer. Mitch Jackson's a wonderful guy. He is California's leading trial attorney. He's someone at the cutting edge, bleeding edge of technology, social communications, and all that. But he's also a wicked good lawyer.
Are you still reading that? Because that's
no.
Really
I'm back to me. I'm just reading the difference for Mitch so that Mitch can hear it. Another sponsor is attorney Mitch Jackson, also known as the streaming lawyer.
All right, hush.
So anyway, go get some Mitch Jackson. Let's grab our Karan back and Karan backside and we'll go. Amazing you have so many sponsors. Good for you. Thank you so much. We like money. So welcome on back to the show.
We only sponsor things we really like, though. So
yeah,
if we're offered a bag of money for something we didn't like, we wouldn't take it.
And I really like Mitch Jackson. So make sure we get that. My ex-wife Kat says, is upGrad for all entry levels? Like kids fresh out of high school?
Like hypothetically, if one had a kid fresh out of high school.
19-year-old weirdo.
It was looking for something to do with them.
Asking for a mom of a kid out of high school.
Of course. Yeah. Happy to take that. And the answer is yes. We have certification programs that have no sort of entry level criteria. And so if you're looking for something that will give you the skills you need and an overview of the whether it's data science, machine learning, or one of our other courses in management, we have certification programs for all levels. And then, of course, our more advanced programs that you can kind of work your way into. So there's executive programs, and then finally the master's programs and now just, one of the newest additions on upGrad is a full doctorate program. For the doctorate of business administration is our first doctorate program, with more to come. So yes, it spans all levels, and happy to answer any specifics on that.
I want to know about networking. So one of the reasons that I went to law school at Suffolk University is because at the time they had like 50,000 alumni, which was a significant network, right? For someone who's going into law, as Mitch Jackson would know. 1 million total registered learners in 50 plus countries around the world. So I'm thinking over time, the alumni power of this network is going to be huge for people who are seeking jobs and want to switch careers and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. We're really proud of it. We have a full alumni services team. We keep them part of the community. We're active with them on LinkedIn. They vouch for us, when we need them to, and we have them just engaged. In the US, we have some really exciting things planned, like regional meetups. And so we've recently onboarded a director of learning experience. Part of the things we're discussing, if we have concentration of learners in many geos. So we'll be having, a meetup at a restaurant bar, in Chicago, in San Francisco, Houston, so on and so forth. So blending, again, like I said earlier, just taking away that barrier that we're doing this alone, we're doing this online, nobody knows I'm here, tearing all that down and making it, first of all, a cohort. So you are doing it with a group of at least 100 other people. But also you're doing it with people in your area, like real people that you can meet up, you can talk to about challenges you have in the course, or just curiosity around career prospects, what their thoughts are. And all of a sudden, even though the coursework is online, your neighbors are doing it, and you're really in this community together. So we are definitely trying to defy that online model and invest in in-person events and things of that nature without being shy about it. We're not trying to force this as like an online only experience.
I don't like my neighbors is the thing. I hope the people I study with are from across town.
Across town, across the world.
Well, Chris and I are from Boston,
so we try to avoid people.
With other people is different.
We try to avoid people. So I alluded to this earlier. I talked about things like University of Phoenix and the early days of online training and all that. And I have two questions. I'll start with this one. I see also that you have some partners. So you've done some in North America, at least. There's some college partners who've thrown the ball over the fence to you and said, why don't you do some of this for us? That must be an interesting kind of sell in a whole different way. Like having a university seed some of what they think makes them. And I want to hear a little bit about those partnerships, if you're willing.
Yeah, that's our entire model, Chris. Actually, we work closely with university partners, some of which are announced and on site. So you'll see Duke Corporate Education, some of which are coming up. I can't talk about them right at this moment, but we have some great university partners in the U.S. That will be live with us in the coming weeks, and they'll be offering programs of all levels with us. So the way that really works is, like I said, we study the market. We went to say Duke, right? We go to Duke Corporate Education and we say, we believe that product management is an important field for us to socialize education around. And we believe the following curriculum will get students prepared for a career in product management. Right. And then we work with them to develop the content. They provide us with access to top tier faculty, to coursework, to syllabus that they might have. And then we collaborate and maybe contribute our own experts. One thing about upGrad that's really unique is we supplement all the university seated coursework with experts that come in from outside. So if, say, someone from Tesla or Uber can explain something about artificial intelligence a little bit better, or just has more of a passion for it, we might just say, let's sub out that lecture with a guest lecture from industry. And what we found is, we get elevated sort of feedback. Every one of our lectures is rated. And so whoever's sort of doing the best in giving the students what they're looking for, that's who we keep on board, and that's how we refine the curriculum. So the industry kind of speakers come in and they supplement the coursework provided by the university. And the universities, for the most part, are excited by that. they believe that the subject matter experts we're sourcing are in the same caliber as those that they would source for their in-person, classroom sessions. And so as long as we're aligned on that and we have a really close partnership with all of these folks, then we're good. So yeah, it's a collaborative effort between the university and upGrad putting together this course and then delivering it globally.
That's got to be so ouchy for like tenured professors who just been given the same lecture for like 30 years. Get rated like 0. They must get so butthurt. Interesting.
We say that with love, and the fact that
yes,
Carrie was a professor for a little while at a couple of places. So
yes. But when I was doing it, they had a site that let you rate how hot your professors were. So that was fun. Like I'm not even kidding, in chili peppers. So if you had a chili pepper, then you were whatever. And I was teaching while pregnant, so I was like, y'all are fetish people. I don't know what your problem is.
I'm gonna take that back to the product team, Carrie.
Yeah.
See what we can get done with the chili peppers there.
Yeah, make that work.
Well, you mentioned product managers. By the way, if you could find me a product manager, I was just told that they'd give me a Tesla if I could fill a product role. So just let me know.
Coach Woodard asks, he says, a number of small liberal arts colleges are struggling in this country. Can upGrad fill a void for students looking for a liberal arts education? Cat's laughing at my chili peppers.
Yeah, I think we're in discussions with schools of all types. Our background really, it originated in the data science, machine learning, and the tech fields, as well as management, right? So that's where we started. But that doesn't mean that's where we're headed. So certainly we're in discussions with liberal arts colleges that, as you mentioned rightly, there is an enrollment gap that they are facing. And so what can we do to partner with them? And what are the fields we can pick out? Like liberal arts in general is like a broad category, right? Within that, there are still fields that we think drive a majority of employment because upGrad, no matter what happens, is we're going to be employment driven. That's the mission we're on. And so, we work with even liberal arts colleges. One, in my backyard in Atlanta, and we'll kind of work with them to see where are the offerings that lie that are not maybe sociology or psychology, but are there fields within there that are tangentially related to high growth employment fields that we can bring online and bridge that enrollment gap? Like I said, they partner with us, 85 countries you're live in, and we can create all types of structures to help you deliver that and regionalize it so that case studies in Singapore or Indonesia are unique and different, while still holding true to the original, coursework that was meant to be provided for the university. So yes, certainly on the horizon, but not really where we're invested at the moment.
I mean, it was interesting when you said the minute Coach asked his question, I immediately went right to sociology, and some of those degrees that we see all the time are like the secret levers, while other people are just getting their MBAs. So that's certainly a thing. Carrie said, hey, maybe you should show the YouTube in the background and whatever. And I went over to your YouTube while we're doing this interview and I went, oh my God. And I got lost. You're crazy. I mean, you got to look at look at the production quality of some of the stuff. There's gazillions of these, Karan, as you well know.
Yeah.
What the heck? And was this part of the strategy for these years? And like, these are like quality films. This isn't, just junk.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. And, as I mentioned earlier, we've grown to be South Asia's largest online higher ed company. So a lot of what you're looking at are not just production quality videos, but top tier, actors and actresses from Bollywood, from India's Hollywood. And so, yeah, the reach is massive in India. We are not only penetrating kind of the major cities, but ads help us bring our mission and our message to tier 2 and tier 3 cities within India, especially in those towns and villages where folks find it a big move to, move to cities and so on and so forth. It helps us communicate and bring our message out there. In the US, again, as I think I mentioned, we're still sort of in, I'd say 6 to 8 major cities is where a lot of our enrollments come from. And so, there's work to be done for us here in the US to get our message out everywhere. that they can. And this is our newest ad that it talks about kind of this group of students or a group of young folks that's really dismayed and disappointed with the pandemic hitting, and they're talking about when they can expect their future to change and how disappointed they are. That like when are they going to finally be able to go into the cities? Because in India, movement is still restricted due to COVID. So this ad talks a little bit about how even with restricted movement and lockdowns, you can continue down the path of your education and still get that degree without worrying about physical location.
And people love that ad. They're like, it's getting coverage that you had an ad. Basically, people are writing about it. That's how much they like it.
That's right. That's right. It pushes the bounds a little bit. It embraces the moment, and so I think it's called moment advertising, right? And so you really talk about what's top of mind for learners today. And in the U.S., we've been fortunate to ease our restrictions. Although in recent times we don't, mask mandate maybe coming back. We don't know which way how far deep that will go. Hopefully not much.
Thanks so much to everyone who didn't want to get that jab.
That's right. And so if that continues, then offerings like upGrad continue to become more and more critical. So you don't lose time, right? That's one of those things in life, but we didn't realize you lose time sometimes in what life sort of needs to continue to be if you're physically constrained. So it's like, how does the time movement get affected by physical constraints, because you need to get to X to accomplish Y, and now you can accomplish Y while not having to physically move.
I can't praise you enough for the ads and everything. I'm going to keep watching these. The fact that they're subtitled in Hindi and that they're 15 or 20-minute ads, and I'm still going to go and watch them like they're episodes of something. That really points to the strength of what you put together. And I can't even fathom you having this conversation with like US-based agencies. Like, you're sitting in a room, guys, you got to imagine these are the most important, most current stars. And these filmmakers are like, are Annapurna Films and things like that. These are the big,
It'd be like if you get Ryan Reynolds to do them for North America
every day, like 200 Ryan Reynolds ads, because there's also a lot of those. Anyway, it's incredible just to see that for something like higher ed, no less. I mean, you should be on like every stage talking to the higher ed marketing conferences just for that alone. Not even to say that the product's great, just to bring it here. Sorry, I got a little excited. All right, listen. We have to do a few things and we have to get out of here. And I don't even know if Carrie warned you about how this show ends, but boy, are you in for a surprise. Okay. We have to do our person of the day.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
I'm going to go with Kat because I liked her question and I thought it was a great lead to give Karan some interesting stuff. Although my second runner-up on this one was Cody being told that Ron Rate, my professor, they said he was a potato. So that made me.
Potatoes are good.
Rather cheery. Potatoes are delicious. And you know what potatoes are delicious with? Hot sauce. This is Cody's hot sauce. It's called Southern Fuego. So we also asked the same question we've asked every single guest who's ever been here. So you're now answering a question that Sir Mix-a-Lot has answered, that Mistress Harley, the financial dominatrix, has answered. Sister Anne Flanagan.
I love the company I'm in. That is fantastic.
You're in a crowd now. So here's the question. What goes in your backpack? Now, it could be something physical, like an avocado, or it could be something metaphorical, like dreams for the future. Carrie, what's a good example of something physical to go in a backpack?
Extra set of teeth, for sure.
Clearly.
You never know. You just never know.
If you had an extra set of teeth, the world would be bigger. And what's something maybe metaphorical you can add? Anything come to mind?
Ariel Helvetica, the burlesque performer, said kindness. So I'm going to go with kindness.
I love that name.
Ariel Helvetica, right? It's
yeah.
So, well, we got her after the Luminous Pariah stood us up.
Who would have thought that burlesque dancers weren't reliable guests?
Well, she was Ariel Helvetica was very reliable. So what goes in your backpack for
Karan Raturi, what are you going to add to it?
Yeah, so I was going to say hiking boots. I don't have a metaphorical one, but I have two physical ones. And so it's a hiking boot and a how-to guide, right? And so making sure you're not only that I'm not only like able to seize the moment. And if I'm out in nature, just be able to make the best of it with my hiking boots, but also stay kind of self-sufficient and have my how-to guide there guide me on how not to die in the elements.
That's a very good idea.
Not dying is a good one.
Cody wins a potato for being person of the day, says Kat. Usually we give everyone an apple, but they have to purchase it themselves and bake it into a tart or a strudel at their election. But today, potato.
Lucky them.
Speaking of potatoes, so my mom and dad were working family, and that meant that, you know, we kids had to fend for ourselves, but we always had coverage because we were both idiots and we would very willingly burn the house down. So my mom's dad, my grandfather, was taking care of us, and one night my mom had to work extra late. She came home to 2 kids that were swearing they were starving. You could tell I've never starved a day in my life, but we were like, oh, we don't have any food. And what it was all related to a potato. And my grandfather, bless his heart, if there were no potatoes in the fridge, well, then there was.
Because then he can't have French fries.